what's going on, everybody? All you kings and queens. Today, I have a super special guest with me. Her name's Deborah Watts. She helps Mavericks create and systemize their own unique style of leadership, both for themselves and for others. They can utilize their uniqueness to be the best personally and professionally. You're in for a huge treat right now for Deborah. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jordan. I'm excited.
Of course. This will be an epic talk, I can already tell. So, as of now, what's the biggest thing you're working on currently?
Well, the biggest thing I think I'm working on is a book. The idea came to me late last year that I needed to write down and document my process and also, share it with as many people as possible. So I thought the best way to do that would be through a book. So I'm just getting started now in getting case studies together and, doing the work, and it's fun.
That's awesome. So what inspired you to make this book?
I wanted to make sure, I work with people who want to leave a legacy of contribution, and I am one of them. I want to leave a legacy of contribution for, my daughter, for the generations to follow, and just for people in general. If I get hit by a bus, I want to have something there to share my message with as many people as possible.
Definitely. I love that. And you also already do an amazing job at sending messages to a lot of people. I've seen you online making huge differences already. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So what is your story? You can paint a picture for us. Where do you come from before to get to where you're at now?
That's a great question. I was always a maverick. I was always someone who thought differently and didn't understand why that was a problem. I never could get, why is it wrong that I don't think or agree with the way everyone else is doing it, or other people do things. And I could see how people who thought differently tended to be persecuted, because I came from a background where it was a very serious religious and kind of conservative background, and it was fine. It was great. It's just I noticed that people who thought differently, looked differently, they tended to, whether it was different to the individual or different to the group, they tended to be treated in a way that I didn't agree with, and that was from when I was a little kid. So growing up, I've always kind of seen myself, I would observe myself kind of on the outside. And then later on when I got into my 20s, it was like I felt more like I was starting to feel like I needed to rebel against my religion, institutions, I just felt like I needed to rebel. Yeah. And then now I'm in a place where it's like I'm just living I'm doing my best to fulfill my mission and to live on purpose. And I'm not as concerned anymore about what other people think as before. Of course, it's always a work in progress, because I was raised to have to literally represent God in everything I did. I was a minister for many years. So, working with that mindset, it's not something that goes away instantly. But each day when I say it to other people, it's a reminder for myself too, that as I am, how I am right now in this moment in time is fine. It's more than enough. There's nothing that needs to be changed or fixed about me. And so as I do that, the more I do that, the more I tell other people that, the more I remind myself of that. And that is my purpose. That's why I'm here.
I love that. And that's so spot on too. I'm a huge believer that we're always perfectly perfect where we are in this moment.
Yes.
Not when we have more accolades or more success or what the dream life right now in this moment, we're perfectly where we are. So I love that mindset you have.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I see you keep gravitating towards maverick. So what does a maverick mean to you? If you could describe that for us, what is a maverick?
That's a great question. So really, I define a maverick as someone who is, by choice, determined to live outside of status quo for the reason to live on purpose. So to leave a legacy of contribution. So not just to live outside for other, there's lots of reasons why people can, live outside the status quo. But the reason a maverick does so is to live their purpose.
That's amazing. Do you think it's hard for people to find their purpose and to be a maverick?
Yes and no. So I think it's hard because we have, we'll get to this, I'm sure, but this global reset is quieting things down quite a bit. But there's so much noise and there's so much distraction that it can be very challenging, especially if you grew up in a environment like I did, where you're just constantly being told, don't trust yourself, don't listen to yourself, you're a sinner, you need to listen to the elders, or you need to listen to the Bible, or you need to listen to something else. And not that any of those things are wrong, but what I do think isn't good is people stop listening to their own inner voice and they just trust all external authorities and external concepts. And so then it can be very challenging to live on purpose. But on the flip side, if you just tune all of that out, which again, like I said, isn't easy, but if you can do that, it's actually very easy to live on purpose, because you're going to notice immediately, like, things either don't feel right or don't sit well, or they do. And so you can easily just start, if you just start gravitating towards the things that feel good, that sit well with you, you're going to naturally start living on purpose. It's not like something that you have to go do a doctoral degree on. It's just about noticing what indications your body is one good way to feel that, and also just how you're feeling, your emotions. They will help you to understand whether you're living on purpose or moving towards living on purpose or not.
You're so right about that. I know when I stopped looking for outside, direction, my life skyrocketed. Like you say, once you know what you're doing on purpose, it becomes way easier because you're just living your life. You understand, well, I need to do this because who I am as a person. It's like my leadership style. We ask my next question is, you're talking about how you help people define and figure out their leadership style. So is there a huge list of those out there, on how people find that style for themselves?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I get that. I get asked that a lot. I'm actually writing a short guide on different types of mavericks. But when it comes to style, it's literally, I use that word to make a literal metaphor with your style of clothing, your style of grooming. Right? There's fashion, there's the runways and, New York, LA, these big places where they put out these trends that everyone wants, I don't know, people respect. I don't know if everyone wants it, but people respect.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. And then you have the trends that come out in the stores, right? It could be fast fashion. It could be, all these different types of things that go out. And then there's your own personal style, which very few people ever explore, right? Like, there aren't that many stylists, personal stylists. There are a lot, but compared to like some other professions, very few. Because most people never actually ask themselves, what is my personal style? Like, what is representative of me? Like, how do I want to look in terms of representing myself, my own personality, my own feelings, my own ideologies? And so really it's the same thing with leadership, where there are lots of different styles out there in terms of like models and, examples, and they've got all these like catchphrases and jargon and all that. But my goal is really to get to the heart of the individuals. So it's like that like fast fashion, or that mass production of style, versus the couture personal style, where an individual says, I want to really understand what's making me tick. When I'm doing this thing that I hate doing, why do I keep doing it? Or if I'm doing something really well, how did I do that so that I can replicate it consistently? That's basically what we find. And there's no two people where that's going to be identical. So there is no, at least in my book, there's no long list to pick from. It's more just taking we do have a system of tools that we use to find your personal style, but the style itself is going to be as unique to you as your fingerprint.
That is like the best thing I've ever heard, like everyone, the whole concept of leadership. There's so many books out there talking about how there's 20 kind of leadership styles, or you're a dominant kind of person, or you're a morale kind of person, all different levels to it. But having it painted this way, you are the leadership person by yourself, that personal style. takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer, that everybody alive is a leader to some degree. And I'm sure you feel the same way. So, like, what makes a good leader versus a great leader?
Again, I would say that really is a personal definition, because I know there's so many times when I've loved my leadership and I've gotten nothing but hate and flack for it, but it resonated for me in that moment. So it was a success. That's my definition of success. Is, does it resonate for you? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, when you're making the impact, is it an impact that helps others to resonate more in whatever way that they need to? And again, like, that's why it's so hard to say, oh, this is a really great example, because how do I put this? Sometimes the people who are the most powerful leaders, you never actually see any tangible stuff to show that. I would say my daughter is an excellent leader, and she's 7, and there's no, she doesn't have like a team of 100 running after her and doing all kinds of amazing things.
Not yet.
But I think she's an amazing leader because she's very resonant, and she's very and I think all children actually are great leaders for this reason. As long as they haven't lost this ability to just be who they are in that moment, and trust it and own it and not be ashamed of it, and just being who you are is such a powerful catalyst for being a great leader. Now, again, your definition of being a great leader will probably differ a little from mine, and that's okay, because I'm not trying to be great in your eyes. I'm just trying to be great to the best of my ability for you. So that's why it's a kind of a little bit of a trick question, but that would be my response to that. Really being able to own and resonate with being yourself. And that sounds like cliche, but there's actually, like, a lot of people actually haven't actually systematically figured out what that is for them, versus just, reading a personal development article or watching an inspirational video and saying, oh yeah, I need to be myself. And then it's like, wait, what does that look like? How does that actually work in a day-to-day environment?
Yeah, that's so true. So do you think for people to find out their personality types, or to know the Mavericks, or to know the Enneagram style, or even personality styles, even astrological styles, help them do that? Or you think there's a better way to find out who you are as a person?
That's a great question. I love it. I will go back to my core, which is so let me talk a moment about resonance, because I think it's really important. So if back in a former life, I was a structural engineer, and like Tacoma Narrows bridges, some of those bridges when they reached their natural frequency, they started to oscillate to the point where they were destroyed. That's because when you hit resonant frequency, which is where all the molecules, their natural frequency, they're all vibrating at that frequency, the amplification of those waves is insane. Literally will snap a bridge in two. So in similar, if you even think about like a wine glass, and you take a drop of water and you rub around the rim, when you hit resonance, you will hear the resonance of that glass. It'll have a specific unique tone based on the molecules in that glass. So resonance, it's very clear. It's not like ambiguous. So if we can take that and notice in our body, there are very clear signs when you're feeling resonant, when you're feeling like all the molecules in your body are vibrating together. You will usually feel like a buzz, delight. Some people describe it as warmth, or they feel like a glow around their entire body, right? Everyone feels a little differently, but you know it when you feel it.
Yeah.
And when you feel it, that's what you need to go for. So whether it's a Myers-Briggs personality test, or a DISC test, or a seminar, whatever it is you're doing, you want to always be moving towards it if you feel like there's more harmony in your cells when you hear about it, when you learn about it, when you listen to it. If it's really calling you, then go with it. Yeah. But I'm just saying that there's no one thing that's going to work for everybody. So it's like you really have to start learning how to listen to yourself, because in listening to your own body and listening to your own resonance, that's how you're going to find what's going to be best for you. There's no one size fits all solution for anybody.
Yeah, it's like the aha moment. That's what it sounds like you, or in the moment, and you know it's happening. For me, when I'm doing public speaking or doing marketing for my clients or doing amazing interviews with awesome people, I feel most alive. So that's kind of how I feel like where I find myself. So for you, what is the kind of moment you have in your life that makes you feel the most alive, most on fire?
Oh, that's a great question. I love these questions. I think I feel the most alive when I talk about my work, this
Mm.
work. Um, it's like I could be half asleep and tired and hungry, and somebody asks me a question about my work, and I'm all like, I've got another 10 lives. So it's really funny to think about it. But yeah, that's why I knew that this is the work that I needed to continue doing, even with all the challenges that I faced getting it off the ground. I have really enjoyed talking about authenticity, talking about resonance, talking about trusting yourself, that you don't need to fix yourself, all those kinds of concepts and ideas. That's what really sets me on fire. And another thing is music. Certain types of music will again also just kind of pull different things out of me.
Mm.
And so is sunshine for the most part. That's like my
Yeah.
fuel. I think if anything, sunshine is a cure-all for me.
Especially nowadays with us being quarantined, like having
Yes.
that sunshine is even more imperative. And it actually bringing me back to the next point, like what could help people right now become more efficient leaders or become the best leaders they can be during these times? What can they do to help, not only themselves, but the community at large?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just taught 2 days ago a free workshop on how to be certain in an uncertain world. And
Mm.
one of the things that we really focused on was what's the difference between fear and excitement? The only difference between fear and excitement is where you focus your attention.
Yeah.
If you focus your attention on loss, you're going to be afraid. Whether you
Hmm.
lost something or you think you might lose something or you're losing something right now, you're going to be afraid.
Yeah.
But if you focus on opportunity, now you feel excitement
Hmm.
because now you're like, "Ooh, what could happen? What are the possibilities?" So one of the things I think that anyone can do right now, doesn't cost anything. Just asking yourself the question whenever you're feeling uncertain is, where do I want to focus? There's nothing wrong with feeling afraid. I'm not going to knock it. I mean, we need to feel afraid about things
Hmm.
to stay safe, right? If we're not afraid, we'll probably, hurt more people. But it's understanding that at any moment in time, if you don't want to feel afraid, you can always choose to shift your focus to where the opportunity lies and then experience the excitement of creating something new. So this is an opportunity right now, I see it as, because that's where I choose to focus my attention, to create new things. I see it as an opportunity for the world to
Oh
change in
yeah.
ways that we could never have anticipated a month ago. It changing for the good,
Hmm.
and people actually getting a chance to reestablish priorities, because now you're spending so much time with the people that really do matter in your life the most. Um, and it's probably bringing up all kinds of stuff and taking it as an opportunity to get to reevaluate, do I really need to run out to this job or to travel everywhere, or do I really need to do those things that I was doing, or is there an opportunity here for me to make my life better through a challenge that we're in right now?
Yes, that is priceless advice. Like seriously, and I'm a psychology major, so like when I was in college, we learned that the nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, is there to help us become more excited and to wait for what's going on. A lot of times in life, when we're nervous, we say two ways to go: be fearful or excitement about it. When I do public speaking, of course I'm nervous before it happens, but I tell myself I'm excited, and then I already see a totally different aspect for it. So that's so huge.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you could describe qualities that leadership has, do you see any common trends in there? Like, does people have being authentic or being integrity or being ethical? Like, what kind of traits do the average leader has, or helps them become the best leader they can be?
I think, again, I think everyone is a leader at some capacity. Some are just more consciously aware of it than others. But I would say that the people who are able to make the greater impact is just because that's their focus. They're focused on making a positive impact. They're focused on service. They're focused on contribution more so than on things where and there's nothing, I always say there's nothing wrong with any choices. I mean, people have to make their own choices, but each choice has a different set of consequences that will come from it. So if you choose to just focus inwardly, that's great. That's wonderful. And it's important in a lot of ways. You have to start with yourself before you can help anyone else. But if that's all you do is focus on that, then you're not going to have much impact. Then you're not going to be as powerful of a leader, because definition of a leader, I don't have it in front of me, but definitely is someone who is able to create a positive impact and influence others. So if you want to be a great leader, you have to be focused on impact. And there's different types of impacts. Some people focus on monetary impacts, some people focus on environmental impacts, some people focus on, social impact. There's different types, but whatever you focus on, that's what you'll yield. So if you really focus on being able to be of service and of contribution, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be able to, whatever challenges you face, as long as you keep that focus, you'll be able to overcome them and be a great leader.
You have the best answers I've heard for so long. So it kind of goes to the next point is like, do you believe that from my past, when I was just starting off 5 years ago, I did not see myself as a great leader because I was making a huge impact. I wanted to be successful, had a lot of money at that time. Do you think being successful and being a leader is synonymous to each other?
Do I think they're what?
Synonymous? Like, do you think for you to be a leader, you have to be successful as well? Or the people who are not super successful in like society eyes, who are also still amazing leaders or doing like amazing impact wise?
I think to be a leader who makes a positive impact, you have to be successful in your own eyes. So whatever your definition of success is, you have to believe that you are that. So like my personal definition of success is tied to things that I have absolute control over. So I do feel successful every single day, and thus I can lead others. So if I tie my success to things that I don't have control over, then my ability to impact others in a positive way also suffers because I don't have control. So I feel out of control. Then I don't have all of my resourcefulness to be able to share with others.
That is so key. Like a lot of people, even like right now, being in the uncertain times, are focusing on what they can't control, why they feel more fearful. And here's a part of that. You have to focus 90% of your efforts on what you can control and the solutions, and only 10% of your time to be focused on the problem itself. So if you could describe leadership or even Maverick in like one sentence, what would that look like to you?
Well, I actually, what came to my mind was not necessarily a definition, but a mantra, which is to be determined to live on purpose, no matter what.
I love that. Live on purpose, no what? Purposeful living. So if you could say one message to the entire world right now who's watching this, what would that be?
General message of my life or message specific to this particular period of time that we're in?
Let's do both. I'm pretty sure people need all the advice they can get right now. So let's do the first one first, and then we can go to one for the overall in this moment.
Sure. I would say general to life is that if you don't want to change, you don't have to, because you are fine as you are. You're perfect and complete and whole and more than enough for anything that can come your way. So that would be what I would say in general. That's my life mission and my life message. Specific to this time, I would say focus on the opportunity. Focus on what you can create now that you have all of this free space to create something new.
Yeah, that is the best advice you can do. Focus when you can control. Opportunities are out there. I have friends right now who are like super excited about what's going on. It's like morbid as that sounds, because they know there's tons of opportunities out there. So do you have any links where people can find you at? Any kind of resources for them as well? What kind of like stuff can you give them now and want to offer them to help them get to the next level of life?
Yes, that's thanks for asking. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I have a free community there. It's called Leadership for Mavericks. It's a free group, and in there, like I said, we just recorded the workshop, How to Be Certain in Uncertain Times. That's never before released material that I usually just do with my clients, but I shared it because of the times that we're living in right now and just noticing that there was a lot of uncertainty. So that free workshop and a whole bunch of other resources are available in the group. And so that's Leadership for Mavericks. If you type that in Facebook, you'll see the group, and I can share the link below. And then you can always find me either at LinkedIn or Facebook at Deborah A. Watts. So if it's LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/in/ and then Deborah A. Watts. And then facebook.com/Deborah A. Watts. So you can connect with me there.
Nice, that's awesome. So you don't want to miss out on this amazing workshop. I've known Deborah for a month or so now, and she's definitely an extraordinary woman doing amazing things in the world. And me and her is always a blessing, so I'm happy to hear them. I'll also have all the stuff down below and the links and get to her directly as well, to save you some time on that aspect too. And then do you have any last message you want to say to people watching right now?
Well, I would say thank you so much, Jordan, for doing the work that you're doing here. Each one of us, if we raise our voice like you've been raising your voice, this is a momentous place and opportunity. So thank you for doing that. And thank you to everyone who's listening to this. Thank you for taking the time to invest in you, for listening to inspirational messaging from people like Jordan, and for caring. And don't think that just because you're not exactly where you think you might want to be, that you're not in the perfect place for you right now.
I love that. And to add more to that, so you all know, like, you're more than enough right now in this very moment. Not when you have more accolades, not when you have more success or more the perfect boyfriend or girlfriend or anything that matters. Not when coronavirus hopefully goes away even. You're more than enough right now in this very moment. Like you were saying, you are a leader now. You don't need permission or approval to do that. So just go all in on yourself. I promise you. You have an amazing life. And please connect with Deborah, because she is extraordinary. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.